السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا مولانا رسول الله وآله وصحبه من والاه. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين، وبعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كلام الله تعالى، وخير الهدي هدي سيدنا محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته, everyone. I can see some people here are typing Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, one by one. As I have mentioned before, this series and these lectures that I'm giving in Ramadan, I'm the most excited about because I study and I prepare myself, and then I share with you some really life-changing lessons. Wallahi, life-changing lessons. If we just reflect on the lessons that Allah Azza wa Jalla has for us in each juz in the Quran, our life is gonna change. Honestly. So inshallah ta'ala, tonight we're going to be discussing juz number 4, inshallah Azza wa Jal. Let me start with the first lesson that we're having tonight, and I'm gonna start with a story. And this story is narrated by Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala. Sayyiduna Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu, one of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, one time he was walking with the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he was wondering. He said, Ya Rasulullah, we have a lot of masajid around us. So, أي مسجد وضع في الأرض أول? Which masjid was built on earth to worship Allah Azza wa Jal first? فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, as we all know, المسجد الحرام, the sacred house in Mecca al-Mukarram. So Sayyidina Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu was thinking, and then what? And then which masjid right after al-Masjid al-Haram was built on earth? فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, المسجد الأقصى. المسجد الأقصى in Jerusalem, in Palestine. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to allow us Muslims to pray in Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa one day. Allahumma ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. By the way, the importance of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa in Islam comes immediately after Al-Masjid Al-Haram and Al-Masjid Al-Nabawi in Al-Madinah, the sacred house in Mecca, and the Masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the city of Medina. And then the third masjid in importance in our religion is Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. It was built even before the Masjid of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Nabi Sallam said the first masjid is Masjid Al-Haram, the second masjid is Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem, in Palestine. Then Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu was wondering. He said, Ya Rasulallah, kam baynahuma? What is the period of time that was between these two masajid, the building of these two masajid? فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم 40 سنة. So now we have this information. The first masjid is Al-Haram, the second one that was built to worship Allah is Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, and then the period of time between them is 40 years. Then Sayyiduna Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu was wondering, ثم أي? Then tell me about the next masjid that was built, Ya Rasulullah, after Al-Masjid Al-Haram and Al-Aqsa. You know what he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? What did he say? Did he say Al-Masjid Al-Nabawi? Did he say Al-Jami' Al-Azhar, for example? Did he say any other masjid in the world? He did not name any other masjid. He said, alayhi salatu wassalam, ثُمَّ حيث أدركتك الصلاة فصل فالأرض كلها مسجد. He said, after these two masajid, anywhere in the world the time of the prayer comes, you should pray, because the whole earth is made for me and my nation as a masjid and pure. And some people will find comfort in this hadith. I know a lot of people nowadays are in so much pain because the houses of Allah Azza wa Jal are being closed, and we cannot offer Salatul Jama'ah in the Masajid. And we cannot pray Salatul Jum'ah anymore. And you know what? We are excused. That is the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. One time, I was talking at the beginning of this pandemic about the 5 main objectives that Islam came to protect and maintain. And you know the 5 main objectives in Islam. The first one, Islam came to protect religion, life, wealth, intellect, lineage. But I put them in this order. The first one that I put in the 5 objectives, I said Islam came to maintain religion first, and then the life of the human being. And then I said wealth and intellect and lineage. One of my teachers who used to teach me at Al-Azhar, actually he was watching my lecture and they didn't know that. 2 days after, we had an Imam's meeting. And he's an Imam also in Canada here. And I was with him in the meeting on Zoom. And then he said, I heard you saying that Islam came to protect first and foremost religion, and then you put the life of the human being right after religion. And you know what? That's not correct. Islam came to protect first and foremost the life of the human being. And then comes religion. Because if the human being is not there, who is going to implement the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal? That the human being has to be there first. We have to take care of his life first, protect his soul, and then after that, the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal comes. And that's why whenever you have any obligation in Islam, if that obligation harms your life, that obligation has to stop and it's not obligatory anymore. And you can find this, you can find the manifestation of the importance of the human being nowadays after almost all of our scholars told us that we're supposed to listen to the authorities and close the masajid, which is very difficult for all of us. But that's what we're supposed to do as Muslims, to take care of the human being's life first and foremost. So for that human being to be able to implement the religion of Allah on earth. So that's actually the first lesson that you will find in the 4th juz', which is in Surah Al Imran, chapter number 3, verse 96. إن أول بيت وضع للناس للذي ببكة مباركا وهدى للعالمين. Allah said that the sacred house in Mecca was built on earth for الناس وهدى للعالمين, and it's a guidance for العالمين. Al-Alamin is the plural of Al-Alam. The Alam is the world. Al-Alamin is the worlds. The world of the human being and the world of the jinn and the unseen worlds as well. So the house of Allah in Mecca al-Mukarram is not only a guidance for us Muslims, it's for everyone else. And we have to look at this religion in this way. Our religion is a universal religion. It's open for everyone. It's not only limited for us Muslims. And you will find many other lessons in this juz' number 4 are related to this idea of making da'wah, and this religion is for everyone, not only for Muslims. And that's why the second lesson that we have today is about unity. Let me give you a very beautiful story. I heard it from my uncle. I have my uncle, he is a professor at Al-Azhar al-Sharif. His name is Mohamed Masloh. He is by far the first one that I learned Islam from, of course, after my dad. May Allah have mercy on him, he passed away, my dad passed away, but my uncle is still alive. My uncle Ahmed Masloh, he's a professor at Al-Azhar al-Sharif, and he actually wrote some books about khataba and about Islam, khutbahs and stuff. One of his books is called الظل والحرور من الموت إلى القبور. And the other book is called صرخة حزينة لئلا تغرق السفينة. Beautiful names. So anyways, in his book صرخة حزينة لئلا تغرق السفينة, he was talking about unity. And he mentioned a very beautiful story. By the way, again, this is my right hand, because the camera displays me in a different way, so that you can see this is my left hand. Actually, this is my right hand. So I drink only with my right hand. Just a clarification, because few people ask me this question. So in his book صرخة حزينة لئلا تغرق السفينة, he narrated this story about one of the حكماء, a wise man. He had some kids, and at the time of his death, the most important thing for him is this. He called all his kids. Wa alaykum salam. He called all his kids. And he asked them to bring a bunch of sticks and to tie them together, put them together. And then they did that. And while he is in his deathbed, he asked them to try to break all these sticks together, tied together. The youngest one started, and he tried to break it. It was very difficult. He couldn't make it. He gave it to the elder. The elder couldn't do it. And then he gave it to the eldest. The eldest couldn't do it. It was very difficult. And the dad knows they're not going to do it. But he wanted to teach them a lesson. He said to them, look, now untie them, scatter them, divide these sticks, and I want each one of you to take only one stick and try to break it. They took that stick and everyone broke it very easily. Very easily. And their dad told them, that's exactly what I wanted you to learn. If you're united, it's going to be very difficult, almost impossible, for your enemies to break you. But if you are divided, it's very easy for your enemies to break you. We have Farhat here, Farhat Asim, saying, my mom used to tell me this story always. It's a beautiful story. We always heard this story from our elders. But you know what? We need to start to implement them. The purpose of these lessons is not just to tell the stories that we already know, or to even learn new lessons. The purpose of these lectures is to start implementing them. Wallahi, our life is going to change. Wallahi, our life is going to change. Let me tell you about an Imam. That's a story that Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned in Ihya Ulum al-Din. About an Imam. On a Friday, he talked about the importance of as-sidq, truthfulness, and the prohibition of kadhib, the prohibition of telling lies. And people liked his khutbah. It was a very powerful khutbah, and he has a very good presentation skills. Okay. Then they went home very inspired by the khutbah. Next Friday, they went to the same masjid, and they found the Imam telling the same khutbah about the importance of truthfulness, telling the truth, and the prohibition of lying. Imagine if you come to my masjid iOS and you find me giving one khutbah that people really liked, and the next Friday you come to the same masjid, you find me saying the same exact khutbah. People were wondering, but they said, okay, maybe the Imam forgot. Next time, inshallah, is going to continue. Maybe he has a list of khutbahs, and he went through the same khutbah twice. Maybe he was busy with his family, and he just went through the same one twice in this list. So next Friday, it's going to be something new. For the third time, they went on Friday. They found the Imam giving the same exact khutbah. The same content. The ayat that he quoted, the ahadith that he mentioned, everything the same. They went to him, Ya Imam, you mentioned the same khutbah 3 times about people to stop lying and to tell the truth. فقال Imam, yes, I did that intentionally. He said, why? He said, because once people stop lying and will only say the truth, I will immediately stop talking about the prohibition of telling lies. So what's the reason that we have Imams, they always speak about unity? Because the Ummah is still disunited. We're divided. Not only here, I'm not talking about Regina, I'm talking about everywhere. Look around. In the whole world, Muslims are divided. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to unite all of us. Nadimul Islam, we are enjoying lectures every day. My whole family is sitting with me. Good effort to tell about Islam. Jazakallah khairan, barakallah fikum. I'm enjoying more than anybody else. And I'm so honored to have you here with me. And I'm enjoying because I'm studying. I'm studying and have to review. It's not just I recite. No, I also study and teach, and that's actually my passion. The third lesson that we have in the fourth juz in the Quran. If you open the Quran, verse 110, Surah Al-Imran. Surah Al-Imran is chapter 3, and the verse that we're going to discuss now is 110. And please, just listen to this to this point till the end. This point is the most important. Allah Azza wa Jal says about the believers, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. You are, Muslims, the best nation that was raised for the rest of humanity. Of course, you have heard this ayah before, right? But what's the meaning of this ayah? The meaning of this ayah is, before I go tell people about what Allah says and what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, and before I encourage them to become Muslims, or before I tell them that this Islam is going to change your life, I have to be a beneficial member for my community and for the rest of humanity. That's very important. I cannot be weak financially, for example, and every time there's a problem in my work or my school or with my friends, with my community members, and instead of being a part of the solution, I'm always a part of the problem. So if I'm very weak financially, or I'm very weak intellectually, so I don't have a good educational degree in the field that I'm working in, like other people who are very qualified with credentials, so I'm weak financially, and I'm weak intellectually, and I'm weak physically. I don't look presentable. And I'm very sorry to say that. Please, take it with a grain of salt. I don't mean anyone in person. I'm just talking about myself and what I see around us. I cannot be weak in all these aspects and then expect people, once I go to them and tell them, you know what, Islam is gonna change your life. Here is Islam, here is Quran. And when they don't listen, I get upset. They're not going to listen. I have first to implement this ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. You are the best nation raised for humanity. Once I am, as a Muslim, in the Muslim community, I am beneficial to other people. Like, for example, one example. Our masjid now is having the food hampers, for example. And I just heard today, I didn't know that. We distribute them for Muslims and non-Muslims. And I thought it's only for Muslims. And then I found out it's also for the non-Muslim community. That's what we're talking about. خير أمة, the best of nation that was raised for the rest of humanity. And then after that, da'wah comes. So da'wah doesn't mean that you take a translation of the Quran and you give it to your friends and then you wonder why doesn't he convert. I have first to be the best of nation for people. Sister Roslyn, she is one of our converts. Very happy to see you here. Jazakumullah khairan. I've been sharing with my friend in Australia who is learning more about Islam. That's great. That's exactly what I want everybody to be doing. Not just listen to this lecture by myself and my family. If you think that someone is going to benefit from these lessons, and if you think they are beneficial, if you think these are life-changing lessons from each juz in the Quran, immediately share it. So inshallah you will take the reward of people that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to guide through you. The next point that we have here, I'm just gonna skip through because I don't want to make it very long for everyone. I'm gonna go to verse number, point. Next point is number 6 here. It was supposed to be number 3, but I'm gonna give point number 6. I jumped 2 points, by the way. Okay, in this point, Allah Azza wa Jal is telling us one of the most important characteristics, one of the most important qualities of believers. Which is what? The most important quality of a believer is that he loves competitions. You know what I'm saying? So when you compete with people, please, we love competitions, but not for the sake of this dunya. We love competitions, but for the sake of the akhirah. When can I find this in juz number 4? Open Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 133. Verse 133, Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3. Allah is telling us here, Muslims, you need to compete with one another. We all know that one time in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was sitting with the Sahaba. And he said, من أصبح منكم اليوم صائما? Who amongst you is fasting today? The only one who raised his hand is Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. طيب. And then the person asked the second question. من عاد منكم اليوم مريضا? Who amongst you visited a sick person today? Nobody raised his hand. The only one who raised his hand was Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. Okay, great. Sahaba's watching. Nabi Al-Sam, third question. من تبع منكم اليوم جنازة? Who amongst you followed a funeral today or offered condolences for someone? Nobody raised his hand. Sayyidina Abu Bakr only was the one. من أطعم منكم اليوم مسكينا? Who fed a needy person today amongst you? Nobody raised his hand. The only one was, again, Sayyidina Abu Bakr. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما اجتمعنا في امرئ إلا كان من أهل الجنة. Abu Dharr is the one, the first one who's going to make it to Jannah. And that's why in the day of Qiyamah, Nabi said, everyone will be called from 1 or 2 doors from Jannah, or 3 doors. Some people will be called from the door of Siyam, which is called the Rayyan. Some people will be called from the door of Salah, Qiyamul Layl. Some people from the door of knowledge, from the door of Quran. But the person who will be called from all the doors of Jannah together, combined together, is Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu arda. And that's why Sayyidina Umar one time, he said, I have never beaten Abu Bakr. I want to beat him to it today, and I will take half of my wealth and give it to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as a donation for the community. He took half of his wealth, and he said, today I'm going to do more than Abu Bakr. And he went and gave Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam half of his wealth. Nabi said, what did you leave for your family, Ya Umar? He said, Ya Rasulullah, don't worry, I left for my family another half. Nabi said, great. And then when Sayyidina Umar, he left and went to his house, he's thinking that he's today even better than Abu Bakr, that no one can beat ever. He heard in the community that Abu Bakr, what he did even before Umar, 1 or 2 days, is that he took all his wealth. You know, imagine that you go to a bank account and you take everything in your bank account and you give it to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That's how much trust, how much iman, how much love, how much sacrifice Sayyidina Abu Bakr had. That's why he was the first. Who can beat that person? Radiallahu an Abi Bakr, wa radiallahu an Sayyidina Umar, radiallahu anhu. So you can find this in ayah 133 in Surah Al-Imran, competing وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. Compete towards the forgiveness of Allah Azza wa Jal. Compete towards Jannah. Next point is actually it's very important spiritual advice. Spiritual advice to keep ourselves connected with Allah Azza wa Jal spiritually. We've been talking in Juz 4 about importance of unity and community service and helping other people and reaching out to non-Muslims, right? But this point is only for you and Allah only. You know this balance, spiritual aspect as well. If you go to ayah 190, the last 1.5 pages of Surah Al-Imran, 190. I'm going to share with you a very beautiful narration. And this narration is narrated in a few books of hadith, and one of them, Imam ibn Mardawayh, rahimahullah ta'ala, he narrated that one of the Sahaba by the name of Ata, he said, one time I went to Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, and I was accompanied by two other Sahabas, Abdullah, the son of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhuma, and Ubayd ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu. So now we have three Sahaba who went to visit al-Mu'mineen, the mother of the believers, Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Their names are Ata, Abdullah ibn Umar, Ubayd ibn Umayr radiallahu anhum ajma'in. May Allah be pleased with all of them. He said, فَدَخَلْنَا عَلَيْهَا وَبَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهَا حِجَابٌ. The Sahaba were not allowed to talk to the wives of Rasulullah directly like this. They had to talk to them from behind a barrier. And that was only for the wives of Rasulullah. It's not a general ruling for every woman that every woman cannot talk to men except from behind the curtain or barrier. No. That's only for the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَإِذَا سَأَلْتُمُهُنَّ مَتَاعًا فَاسْأَلُوهُنَّ مِنْ وَرَاءِ حِجَابٍ. That's what Allah said in the Quran. طيب. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu had a question. He told her, أخبرينا يا أم المؤمنين بأعجب ما رأيتيه من رسول الله. He said, O mother of the believers, please tell us about some of the wonders that you have seen from the worship of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Something that's amazing about his worship. You know what she said? She started crying. And she said, كان أمره كله عجبا. What are you talking about? All his matters were wonders. The way he worships Allah Azza wa Jalla is always wondering, like always makes you wonder. That's wonders after wonders after wonders. And then she said, أتاني في ليلتي حتى مس جلده جلدي ثم قال يا عائشة ذريني أتعبد لربي. She said, one night, في ليلتي, in the night when we got married, في ليلتي, or in the time when he was switching between his wives and he came to my bed and he was next to me, two married people, two couple, and she said, until his skin touched my skin. Very comfortable, they're going to find comfort in each other. Rasulullah and his wife Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha. Beautiful feeling, right? Comfort, finding comfort. And then suddenly he said, Ya Aisha, can I please get up and to pray? I want to go worship my Lord. That's a Rasulullah. There's something is pulling him from one side, which is dunya, but there's something else that's higher that's pulling him from the other side, which is his love to Allah. Ya Aisha radiallahu anha, give me a chance, I'm going to worship my Lord. فقلت يا رسول الله إني لأحب قربك وأحب أن تتعبد لربك. I would love to be next to you, and at the same time I would love that you go and spend the night with Allah Azza wa Jalla. She said he got up, made wudu, and then I heard him reciting the Quran and crying. And then he went for sujood and was crying and crying until his beard became wet, and the floor, the carpet, when he was making sujood, the mat, the prayer mat was wet because of his tears. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This might have happened to some of us once or twice or 5 times or 10 times in our lives, but Rasulullah used to do this a lot. And then Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu anhu came to him to make adhan for Salatul Fajr. Rasulullah was making what? Qiyamul Layl. Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu anhu came to make adhan for Salatul Fajr, and he found that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was crying. He said, Ya Rasulullah, why are you crying? فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, today Jibreel alayhi salam came to me with one verse in the Quran. Wow to people who recite this ayah and don't contemplate it. Lost is the person who listens or recites this ayah and who does not reflect and understand it. What is this ayah? It's ayah number 190 in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ, and the alteration of the day and the night, لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, are signs and miracles for people who reflect, for people who reason. So that's one of the things that we need to do every single time that Rasulullah used to do when he wakes up to pray tahajjud at night, is to recite this ayah number 190. So this is a sunnah for you today that we'll learn it together. Every single night I wake up to pray qiyamul layl or tahajjud after sleep. I recite this ayah in Surah Al-Imran chapter 3 190. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. Okay, now Surah Al-Imran is over. We'll go quickly to Surah An-Nisa. Surah An-Nisa. An-Nisa means what? An-Nisa means what? An-Nisa means women. So this surah is named after women. So what is the main theme of Surah An-Nisa? What is the main theme of Surah An-Nisa? The main theme of Surah An-Nisa is Allah is talking about taking care of the rights of the weak amongst us. Who are the weak amongst us? You tell me. Who are people, not in our Muslim community, I'm talking in any other community, in general. Who are the weak amongst us? Who are the people who are not actually taking all their rights? Who are the people that in some communities they are marginalized? Who are the people in some communities that are not empowered? Who are those people? Be honest about it. If you're going to answer this question, females. That's what one answer. Brother Rahman, Farhat. Women, females, women. Who else? Who else? Orphans. Great. Sanzida, Farhat. Females. Poor, elderly, female, orphans. Muhammad Hani. Barakallahu fikum. So if you want to understand what the Surah An-Nisa is all about, it's about those people. Khalas? Now that's the first lesson. Servants. Not servants, let's call them marginalized people. Children. Sarah Adams. That's one of them that we forgot to mention. Children, elderly. So in Surah An-Nisa, if you recite Surah An-Nisa, the main objective, the main theme of Surah An-Nisa is to take care of the Ya Rabbi Ghfirli, my closest friend, Brother Mahdi Loda. I know you. Orphans, widows, and divorced women. Orphans. Sister Na'man Rahim. Yes. So Surah An-Nisa, if somebody asks me, non-Muslim for example, or a Muslim, my child, what is Surah An-Nisa all about? You recited the juz number 4 today. What did you learn? Yes, I learned that in Surah An-Nisa, the main theme in this surah is to take care of the rights of all the weak in our community, all weak people in our community. Women, orphans, marginalized, children, and elderly people. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla talked about inheritance. One of the very common misconceptions about Islam, and subhanAllah, like every time I hear this misconception, I feel that those people who say this misconception are just faking it. They're just like playing with us or playing with people, because that's not the truth. They say that in Islam, a man takes double the amount of the women's inheritance, the woman's share in the inheritance. That's a lie. This is just a lie. Because also Azza did not say give the man double the amount of the woman from the inheritance. He did not say that. He said what? يُوصِيكُمُ اللَّهُ فِي أَوْلَادِكُمْ. He's talking about your awlad, your children. لِلذَّكَرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنثَيْنِ. The son has to take double the amount of the daughter from the inheritance. So Allah is talking here about what? Is he talking about men and women? When Allah says, يُوصِيكُمُ اللَّهُ فِي أَوْلَادِكُمْ, is he saying the man takes double the amount of the woman from the inheritance? Did Allah say that? He never said that. That is talking about what? Children. So he's saying the son takes double the amount. Why? Again, why? Because in Islam, when the father passes away and the daughter is not married, the son is responsible to provide for her financially. So the sister or the daughter is financially secured. And when she becomes a wife, she is financially secured. And that's why you give the son a little bit more money, which is double the amount of the sister, of his sister, because he's gonna provide for her. So you give her more money. You know what? Even if the sister is stronger financially, he has to provide for her. She does not have to provide for him. Until she's married, the husband provides for the wife. Even if she is more rich than him, he provides. And that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing with my sisters. One of them is married. I don't provide for her, but one of them is I provide for her because my father passed away. May Allah have mercy on him. That's what we do. Even though my father didn't have much to leave for us, but again, I have to provide for her. So in some cases, by the way, women and men and women take the same share from the inheritance, and in some cases, women take more than men. And in some cases, women take from the inheritance and men don't take anything. And in some cases, men take from the inheritance and women don't take anything. So it's the law that Allah Azza had put on earth to follow. But don't take please one case out of hundreds of cases and to tell me, oh, Islam is giving the man double the share of the woman. That's actually a lie. That's a lie. It's not a misconception. I'm going to stop here, inshallah Azza wa Jalla. I don't want to make it very long for me and for you as well. Jazakumullah khair for listening, and please remain staying home and worship Allah Azza wa Jalla at home. The masajid are closed. We have to take care of our lives and we have to listen to our authorities, and the masjid will continue to be closed until we are 100% safe, because we don't want to open our masjid and then close it again. I have a question here from Brother Khawar. Brother Khawar, I miss you. You're the one, the cameraman. The cameraman. I was used to record my khutbahs at the masjid. Let's see Brother Khawar's question. He said, Sheikh, I have a question. With your permission, can I ask? Immediately, yes, please. But before I read your question, I would prefer that the questions are related to the topic, to any point that we discussed in our topic, because a lot of people ask for this. Otherwise, I'm going to discuss all of them, but on Friday at 1:15, inshallah. I want to share one. Yeah, yes, Brother Khawar is talking about a brilliant idea, and this idea I was discussing with some of the imams in the Canadian Council imams that I'm a part of, and some other imams council that I'm a part of, and it's about arranging Taraweeh prayer or Jum'ah prayer or Eid prayer in the parking lot. You know, it's a good idea, but it needs a lot of arrangements. And then he says, with audio facility, and people stay in their parked cars or vans and pray inside the vans facing the Qibla. You can be outside. You know what? From fiqh perspective, and as you know, my PhD and master is in fiqh. From fiqh perspective, we can justify this. From fiqh perspective, we can find the justification for this. But the implementation is another problem. So if you ask me, from a fiqh perspective, this question is not related to the topic, but I'm going to discuss it because we're done with our lecture today. If you ask me from fiqh perspective, with regards to what's going on right now with the COVID-19, is it allowed for people to go to the masjid and the imam is in a car in the front and there is some sort of connecting to each other with the Wi-Fi or the data and stuff like this, and the imam leads the prayer and the people are in their cars? Is it allowed from fiqh perspective? The answer is yes, it is, of course, 100% it's allowed. Especially if there is no huge gap between the imam and the ma'mumin. And all this falls under the state of necessity. We're allowed to have spaces between people when they pray. The sunnah is to be close to each other, but we're allowed to have spaces if there is necessity for this. Because being very close is sunnah. It does not nullify your prayer if you're not close. For the imam who's going to pray sitting down, can someone pray while sitting down in a fard prayer? The answer is yes, if it's a necessity. And Rasulullah, when he was sick, he prayed while he's sitting down. And when he prayed while sitting down, the Sahaba, when he was sick, he couldn't stand up. The Sahaba sat down. The Sahaba also sat down. And that's why the scholars of Hanabila, they said if the imam prays sitting down, everybody else has to be sitting down. That's Hanabila, but other schools of thought, they said the ma'mumun, people behind the imam, should be standing up. So from fiqh perspective, what you're saying is very good, it's very valid, but the implementation is going to be a huge challenge. And I don't see the need to do that, by the way. You know, I don't see the need. But I respect, of course, your idea, and it's a brilliant idea. If the woman is divorced, Sister Sarah, or widowed, do her brothers need to support her if she is in need? Absolutely, absolutely, they need to support her if she is in need, and they can, if she doesn't have someone to provide for her, they have to provide for her. If she doesn't have a husband, she has to, she's divorced, or she's a widow. Can you lead the Friday prayer on live video? My son is asking. That is absolutely unacceptable. Farhat Asim. Jazakallah for the question. I mentioned this before in some of my videos, and people still keep asking. No problem, it's a very valid question, but it's absolutely not acceptable. According to all the scholars, we cannot pray behind an imam online because of the huge distance between the imam and the ma'mumin. Jazakallahu khair. My whole family listen to the lecture books in hands. Dr. Mohamed Ijaz طبعا يعني. Jazakallah كل خير, Doctor. We miss you, wallahi. We miss you in the Quran halaqah every Saturday at the masjid. One of the most common questions regarding female is about having multiple wives. Great. Yasser Lababidi, brother Yasser from Syria. We don't have multiple wives actually. We can have only a maximum 4 and with certain conditions. And by the way, I will say one sentence because there's no time to explain. If I tell you the conditions of having more than one wife, you will find it impossible to have more than one wife. Inshallah, I will explain more. It's almost impossible to have more than one because there are conditions. You can just go and marry 2 like that. iOS is providing great service to the community, not only for Muslims but also. Yeah, I mentioned the iOS is doing a lot of good work, especially with the food hampers and programs online. Can someone lead Taraweeh holding Quran in hand? Absolutely. Yes, you can pray Taraweeh and holding the Quran in hand. And even you can pray Fard prayer with the Quran in your hand according to Shafi'i school of thought. Great lecture. Barakallah feekum. Thank you, brother Muhammad Hani and Rise Ahmed. Thank you for your efforts. Barakallah feekum. Thank you so much. We'll stop here inshallah azza wa jal. I just wanted to take some questions at the end so I can accommodate everyone, because people don't like to me to answer questions that are not related to the topic, but I will try to maybe read some of them at the end of my lecture. So people who want a solid topic about the juz, they will find it, they will take it, they will find it. And people who want to ask questions also can still ask. Barakallah feekum. Jazakumullah khairan. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Wa jazakallah khairan, Dr. Saqib. Barakallah feekum. Wa miss you, wallahi. Barakallah feekum. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you tomorrow, inshallah.